What's up, guys? It's your boy Mayhem Matthew. Today I got with me college football YouTuber, Georgia Tech fan, Rec Talk. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Why is my name Red though? Well, you come on here and you make my name Red. You
Well,
know
I
I'm a
mean,
Georgia Tech
yeah.
guy.
I mean, what else? What
It's
else
unacceptable.
colors? What else do you want me to do?
There's an infinite list of other colors that you could have chosen, and you chose red. So it's okay. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to, he's saying that because I'm a Georgia fan, he's a Tech fan, and although we should hate each other, actually, I am one of the only Georgia fans that have given Georgia Tech credit whenever a lot of people still didn't give them their credit.
Before it
I
was cool. Everyone's kind of, or not everyone. A lot of people are on the Tech bandwagon, kind of starting at the tail end of last year. You were saying this before last season, I think.
Right. So I hopped on the bandwagon before a lot of Georgia fans did, but I wanted to get to know the man behind the camera, behind the YouTube channel, Rec Talk. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have an extraordinarily large penis. That's first and foremost. Everything kind of follows from that. That's why I'm so confident and why I strut, like I do. That's why I could weather the Jeff Collins years, which I started my channel right, I think the game after he was fired. But you can't stomach that if you got insecurities, And I had been thinking about starting a channel for a while because if you don't know, there's zero impediment to starting a YouTube channel. Any idiot like me can do it. And I thought, well, Jeff Collins is getting fired. This is as good a time as any. I was also working for a company that was I had some lead time to know when they were filing for bankruptcy. So I was getting paid literally really good money to do nothing. Like I was like, what do I do? And they're like, well, nothing. So I had a lot of time, which has changed dramatically. And I started the channel and I looked up, I just like Google search, like how do you do YouTube? How do you start a YouTube channel? And there was it was like a list of 20 things. And the first thing on the list was just make videos. Just make videos. They're going to suck. The first thing that's tough, and I don't know if you've run across this, is listening to your voice recorded because it sounds way different than it does to you. Right. And so I listen to my voice and I'm like, do I sound that hick? Do I sound that stupid to people? Yes, I do. But you get used to that, I guess. So that was tough. But it said make 20 videos. And that I didn't look at the rest of them. I just kept making videos. And I don't know if more than 12 people will ever watch this. Now I had a benefit and an impediment. The benefit was there wasn't a ton of competition in the tech space. Like if you're trying to do Notre Dame or Ohio State or Georgia or one of these teams that have large fan bases, there's a lot of competition. I didn't have that, but then there's not as much of a base that's going to watch you either. So I don't know. I started off really buttoned up and tried to present myself as some learned professional, and then I kind of threw that to the wayside a long time ago and just decided to be a moron, which is what I am.
Now, tell us about your on-screen character that you have. The dude with the beard.
Yeah.
Is it Macho Rec?
Macho Rec. Yeah, Macho Rec hasn't made an appearance in a while. And what my plan has been is to have like a character per season. Now that got foiled a little bit this season with the Negan character. Like I have the bat and everything, but Macho Rec, is an answer to the Buzzsaw. So if for people that don't know, C-Dog also does Georgia Tech YouTube, and he was doing it you got to think about C-Dog. C-Dog in the span from when he started YouTube to when I came in went through Jeff Collins. So he went through 3-9 and 3-9 and 3-7 or whatever with the pandemic year. And then Georgia wins multiple national titles. So, but he has a character that's the buzzsaw that's like a wrestling persona. And cards on the table, like I'm a huge mark for wrestling. All right. You know that if I'm using the term mark, there's like smark or something, like these are all stupid. Like mark is not a bad thing. Do you know where mark comes from, by the way, where that term comes from?
As big as a wrestling fan I really don't.
So it comes from the carnival. So when you went to pay at the carnival, they would look in your wallet as you got your money out. And if you had a lot of money in, they would mark you with a chalk. And then people know you're the guy that we need to get to play the games because you have the most money. Mark is not a bad term. And the funny thing is, there really isn't a lot of difference between college football and wrestling as far as doing it on YouTube, because you have the guy you love or the team you love and the guy that you hate. So from your perspective, the baby face and the heel. And if you look at how people do college football YouTube, especially in the group that we're kind of in with like Pigskin Pete, Uncle Lou, me, Sea Dog, I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but you're cutting wrestling promos. That's what you're doing. Like that's why we opened up with Colorado this year, which was a great opportunity. I mean, I said that I would drink this 40-year-old Coke. That's just promoting your live stream. That's all you're doing. That's why I did it. But it's a ton of fun. Yeah. Now you asked me about Macho Rec. Macho Rec was an answer to the buzzsaw, and which is not me, by the way. You got to keep kayfabe always. I'm not Macho Rec. I haven't talked to him in a while. True story. I don't know if you saw it. They fought outside the gate before the NC State game last year. Chopping, which you can't fake a chop, right? I mean, you're hitting a guy. And the security guard turns around and watches these two overweight and Macho Rec's, perspective, middle-aged guy, two Tech fans fighting outside the NC State game. And he didn't want to break it up. He was just confused. What the hell is this? And that's what I love about college football is you get to show people the stupidest part of yourself. That's what I'm a fan of. So that's Macho Rec. He did cut. He did a thing where he would talk about fan bases and stuff. But I don't know. Maybe he'll make an appearance. But I think the Negan character at the beginning of the stream made an appearance. We'll see if he makes an appearance again.
Yeah. Tell me about that character.
I think he's going by Wiegand now. Yeah, he's cutting notches in to the bat. He's got Brent Key written on the bat, and that's the name of the bat, Brent Key. It's Lucille in the show. Brent Key's a vampire coach, and he is hungry. Obviously, I need to pick people that I can imitate their voice somewhat. I don't know if I can. How much I sound like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I can probably do a pretty good job. I can do a good Collins.
Now, will this new character meet former characters on the channel?
He might kill one of them for all I know. I mean, I can't speak to any of that, but I mean, Macho Rec doesn't have a weapon. Now he has wrestling prowess, but an elbow drop from the top rope ain't much for a barbed wire bat.
Yeah. Just tell us, like, what was your inspirations? You're obviously very creative, and you talked about your wrestling, your love for wrestling and stuff. Was that kind of like the inspiration behind all that, or is there another inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's an inspiration from the standpoint of people have known wrestling's fate forever. Forever, they've known that. A movie like Jason Statham's not really kicking 15 guys' asses. Why do you watch it? Because it's entertaining. There's a reason people still quote Ric Flair. So, like the guys that are popular on the platform that do college football, they can rattle off entertaining things, entertaining trash talk. That's why your season is over is so popular for Lou, because people want to watch and laugh. And there is a skill, by the way, between being able to do that live and not. And I don't know. I think it's fun, but yeah, definitely wrestle. I mean, I dropped wrestling lines. If you want to, in fact, if you want to go back to the OG trash talker, it was Muhammad Ali. Like, he was the first guy that came out there with some some really good trash talk, which was to promote the fight. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. So take us back before you started YouTube. What was Rec Talk kind of like?
Like, there isn't a difference in how I am on camera, really, and how I am in real life. I mean, obviously, you're gonna ham it up a bit, but I mean, I guess another genesis of the channel was just me talking to Papa Rec. He's a truck driver, so I'd call him every night, and we talk about Georgia Tech football. And it would usually just end with, I mean, man, I don't know. I just hope we play well. And luckily for me, Tech has started doing better, so there's more eyes on it. So that's good for me. Live streams are always good, like the live stream watch parties. I did get in trouble. I thought I got a 90-day ban from streaming, which was totally my fault, but I can stream now. It's only like a week. That's a whole other thing in YouTube. There's a reason everyone has an alternate channel, and it's because YouTube is weird in how they delegate rules. What happened to me was warranted. What's happened to others, has not been. So you gotta have a backup. But I don't know what to tell you about me, that like the Rec Talk, the person, I'm just an idiot. I mean, if you were to listen to me and Sea Dog's conversations, like I talked to him before I come on the show, they're a little more vulgar than probably what I am on camera, but it's essentially the same.
For sure. Like, who got you into football? And why Georgia Tech?
Well, my dad grew up a Tech fan, and he goes to games with a donor for Tech. So luckily, fortunately for me, I don't have to pay for tickets. I got to sit in the booth 2 weeks ago. I got to meet RAD and stuff, which is always fun. But I grew up a Tech fan, and I grew up a Tech fan. My high school was the Double G Dogs. We were 20 minutes from Athens, so I had to hear all the nonsense from Georgia fans growing up. But I mean, I grew up. And this is what's kind of sad for CDEC. I grew up when I first started watching football was Joe Hamilton at Georgia Tech and Godsey. I got to see Calvin Johnson. Like, people that are younger than me, all they know is the triple option, Jeff Collins, and then now some of the success Georgia Tech's able to have. I don't remember what you asked me, but the hell with Georgia.
I mean, yeah, I was asking, like, how did you, get started being a Tech fan?
And yeah. So my dad took me to Tech games growing up. Well, we grew up in a Tech household. And as far as this football, I mean, setting that aside, I just love football. I grew up, I played football in high school in Winder. I played quarterback and running back. I wasn't very good, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
For sure. Tell us about that experience of you playing football. I mean, did you ever think that it was going to wind up as a career, or did you know that?
Yeah, I did. I certainly thought. I mean, anyone who plays thinks that they're good. And I literally asked my coach, I was like, do you think I have the talent to play college ball? And he was essentially said, like, you've got the will and the work ethic, but you don't have the skill. Like, no, you're never going to go play college ball. I mean, I was awful at quarterback. I just put my head down and ran into people. I basically played like Haynes King with 1/100,000th of his talent. But it did
Um,
help as far as understanding the game, I think, at a deeper level. What coverages people are in, what schemes they're running, and things like that. I used to do more film breakdowns. That takes a lot of time. I don't do as much of it anymore.
yeah, for sure. That's something that I've always wanted to. I mean, I know the basic things that you need to know as far as what to look out for, but as far as really diving into the film stuff like that, I would, that's something I've always wanted to get into and learn how to do and learn how to study it and all that stuff. And I know there's tons of videos you can watch. Film Guy Network, he breaks it down, and you can learn from people like that. Even yourself, you said you did it, but before, but like I've always been amazed, like people that can do that and do it really good. That just blows me away because I'm like, man, I mean, how do you like remember all that stuff, especially with college football changing as much as it does, and the schemes that are hidden. You have hidden formations and stuff like that. Like it just blows me away at you know how people remember all that stuff.
Was part of why I don't really do it as much anymore is because today, and there's a few things in college football today because of the transfer portal. Offenses have all kind of congregated to similar schemes, or at a minimum, much simpler schemes, because you got to be able to get a quarterback in and have him learn your system in an off season. So that's definitely affected the product on the field. I think now also the rules heavily favor offense now. Um, but yeah, I mean, there is an epidemic of screen passes in college football, and I imagine it's because it's less risky and you have less um, quarterbacks that understand your system less than they ever have.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up as a college football fan. My first ever football game that I can remember was Oklahoma versus Boise State. I believe it was
Oh, yeah.
the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, the Statue of Liberty and all that.
Yeah, that was my first ever college football game that I can remember. I remember it very vague, very not vaguely. I remember it very clearly. Sorry, me and my pawpaw were watching it, and I literally on that play. I literally said, I called it. I said, I bet you that guy. I didn't know what the play was called or anything. I just told him what I would do if I was the head coach. And it happened, and that'll be a memory I'll never forget, because like how in the world is an 8-year old or 9-year old, calling up that play. I didn't know anything about play calling or anything. I didn't know what that play was called, but it was crazy to me how a 8-year old me could you know call up that play and then it actually happens.
Yeah, I mean that would be a game to point people toward if you want to get them into college football like that. Texas winning the national title with Vince Young was a good one. Miami, Ohio State, like there's a few games, and I'm sure everyone has that. Like, man, that the first real game, I remember getting me into college football. And it's not like this is the other thing is if you don't know the rules of college football, like you were trying to explain the rules of college football to someone, where would you start? Because if you've watched it for years and years, it's intuitive in the same way reading is. Well, I just know what the words are when I look at them. But it's like, okay, you got 3 tries to make a first, or you got 4 tries to make a first down, and then the other team gets it. But you never do that. You only go for 3 tries, and then you do something called punting, and then they can return it or they can fair catch it. And then they start watching the game, and they're like, what is this kickoff? Like, it's not super intuitive game to get into.
Yeah, I think I would probably start out by just saying, keep it really simple at first and say, hey, this is offense. They're trying to score a touchdown. And then I would say, like, hey, this is the defense. They're trying to prevent the offense from scoring a touchdown. And then I'll go from there. I'll say, just because how I learned is my stepdad, me and my stepdad would be watching. He would watch college football every Saturday morning, and we would stay up till midnight watching college football all day. And I would just ask questions. Hey, what does that mean? Hey, what does that look like? Hey, what is that? And he would just tell me. So, like, hey, why does it say 1st and 10? And then he would explain to me, you need to get 10 yards to get more tries. Like, he would just explain it to me that way. Like, okay, why are they kicking the ball to the other team? Oh, that's called a punt. That's probably what I would do. Like my stepdad taught me.
Yeah.
Like, what, whenever they get a touchdown and they get an extra point. Hey, why is that extra point not worth 3 points? Whenever I seen on the other drive,
Yeah.
they got 3 points from a field goal, right?
Yeah.
Them are the type of questions I would ask when I was a kid. Like, it didn't make sense to me. Why is that an extra point? Why is that not 3 points? I would just have the person uh just ask me the questions. That's probably where I would go.
Yeah, I think it's just a game you learn by watching it for sure. I mean, it helps. It definitely helps if you played it. And there's a ton of that. That's why I think so many people love college football. Is there's so much depth to it. Like you hear it compared to chess, and like I don't know if you've ever tried to play chess, but most people when they start playing chess, they're just like, oh, if I move here, and then like if I got another move, I just win. And they don't think, well, how is my opponent going to respond to this? You hear people yelling things if you go to the games or if you're watching games with people like, oh, why are they doing this? Well, you got to think how they're going to respond. Take Georgia Tech, for example. They're a team that's just going to try and be very creative in how they want to run the ball. If Haynes King's in, you're not going to get a lot of passes. Well, why don't we just stack the box on them? Well, because then you're going to get single coverage, man pressed for the most part. That's what happened with Clemson. And then you convert a 3rd and 8 for 30 yards or something. So, yeah, I love the game.
Yeah, for sure. I want to know. So let's just say, for example, I want to give you a hypothetical because college football fans love hypotheticals. But I want to ask you this. So let's just say Georgia Tech shut down their football program tomorrow. Who are
Okay.
you a fan of?
I mean, it's hard for me to conceive of. You're kind of asking me what team would I then pivot to covering on YouTube. It sounds like kind of what you're getting at, or what team I would be a fan of.
Right.
Um, I don't know, man. I mean, I probably would choose something else to do on YouTube because, like, you're so invested in the team. Like, I've got, I don't know, 20 years of knowledge of Georgia Tech. It's not just something I'm going to pick up covering another team, knowing their roster, their history. I mean, that because that's the thing with college football that's different than the NFL is that you have all this tradition and history backing your team. I don't know. I mean, I don't even think I could answer that. Like, I wouldn't be a fan of another team.
For sure. I ask that question because, I ask myself them questions sometimes. And, I've always said if Georgia packed it on up and went home and never played football again, you know, I would find myself probably cheering for Kentucky. I mean, uh, I've, I know I probably don't know their history like I do Georgia's, but I'm sure I'll learn it. And I just, you know, I've always found myself cheering for Kentucky whenever they weren't playing Georgia. So I probably would cheer for them. Um, Now, with the playoffs having one group of five team to make the playoffs every single year. Uncle Lou has UNLV. Do you have a Group of Five team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't pay much attention to the group of five. I mean, I think names that are tossed around right now, South Florida might be a good contender. They beat Boise State, who was a lot of people's preseason contender. They beat Florida. They beat who did they beat? Yeah, they beat Boise State week 1. I'm trying to think a group of 5 teams that have made a push. I don't know. I'd probably pick South Florida at the moment.
For sure. But like, I'm also I know I'm a Georgia fan, but I'm also a college football fan. So I like, watching. Uh, I like watching as soon as get up in the morning. I like watching it from the time I wake up all the way until I go to bed. And you know, if anybody that knows, what I used to do on YouTube, I used to do the live streams and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore because I felt like I was falling out of love with it, trying to make content and stuff like that. And, I really just want to sit down and watch the games. And then after the games, I'll talk about it. You know what I mean? Because, trying to entertain an audience while watching the game and trying to analyze the game is almost kind of obviously like a job. And I, you know, I love college football as a fan, and I like I like watching it and having my reactions to it, and you know not having to have to entertain a crowd or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I probably feel the opposite. I mean, I love live streaming games to the point that I've considered going to less home games. Like I go to all the Georgia Tech home games. I like that immediate interaction you get with, however many people are in there. And then like your raw reaction in the moment. Like people love to see that. Like when we did Florida State, we opened with Florida State last year. And week 1 games are always great because you have an entire off season to talk trash with them, right? And then it comes down to the wire. Like I would have loved to have streamed the Clemson game because it came down to the wire. Like people love seeing you sweat. And it goes it goes one of 2 ways. That's the thing with being on YouTube, like with the nature of college football. The highs are high with like the Florida State game, and then the lows are low, man. Like you lose the Bowling Green, and then everyone piles in. Like you'll go from, I don't know, 120 viewers to 300 and something because people are all there to shit on you specifically and take joy in your misery. And that's just part of it. I mean, you kind of, I guess from your metrics win either way, but it's definitely not fun to have to eat crow. Hell, I did it with the Georgia game last year. Goes into 8 overtimes. My bathroom, unbeknownst to me, is literally flooding with 2 inches of water. So I stay on for 45 minutes to eat crow after that, and then I have to deal with 2 inches of standing water in my bathroom. So that was a low for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I I love talking about college football. I'll get on YouTube, talk about college football for hours. I don't want you to get me, take me the wrong way. I will definitely do that. That's definitely going to be on my podcast that's going to be coming up. I'm definitely talking college football. Love talking about the game. I'll sit here and argue with you, for hours upon hours about meaningless teams like Kentucky. And Rec Talk knows about that. But I love talking about it. I went to the Tennessee Georgia game this past weekend, and I'm telling you, there's no live stream I could have done to get that experience and um that feeling in person. Like I seriously thought we lost. I seriously, in the moment whenever he kicked the field goal, I'm not even joking. Tennessee fans were cheering because everybody thought he made it. Even the only people that thought he missed, which he did miss, was the Georgia fans. So it was like Georgia fans and Tennessee fans all cheering at the same time. And then you're like confused. You're like, wait, did he miss? Did he not miss? And come to find out, he missed because from my angle, I thought he made it. I was like, man, we lost. I was about to go home. But then overtime happens, and I'm like, man, I don't even know if we're going to be able to stop that offense. And it was bananas. There was one point whenever Gunnar Stockton fumbled that whole entire stadium erupted, and like, man, I know why they call it one of the best stadium crowds,
Yeah,
and
102,000. That's a lot of people. I mean, look, that's the thing with the atmosphere of college football is second to none. And the other thing, you're right, because we had a similar situation. It went the other way. It's almost impossible to judge a field goal at a game as to whether it went in with your perspective. Because when Beer kicked the field goal against Clemson, like I couldn't tell if he made it or not. You just wait for the eruption, and then in that case, we all rushed the field, which Tennessee probably would have done against y'all. It just went the other way.
yeah, I literally had my phone out ready to record the rushing of the field. I literally had my phone out ready to do it. 'Cause I thought we had lost. I was like, we lost. There's no way he's going to miss this. This is like a routine kick for this guy. And up until that point, he was perfect on field goals. And so I was like, yeah, he's not missing this. And he
It
did.
wasn't close. It wasn't
Like
even close.
that is crazy to me. The luck that has been on Georgia's side. It hasn't always been like that, but people that either just started watching college football or that doesn't have a good memory, they like to believe that Georgia always gets lucky. With the Ohio State kick, now this kick. They want to believe that we always been lucky, but
Well, Kirby
my
said that in this game. I think Kirby in this post game press conference said, "Yeah, we probably should have lost that game."
Oh yeah, we definitely should have lost. I really thought we were going to get blown out. If you want me to be honest, it was 21-7, and at that point, I think because I seen a stat floating around, he was like 14 for 14 in the first quarter or something like that. Like
Aguilar or whatever his name.
yeah, Joey, he was really tearing us up, tearing apart our defense, and if our defense don't get any better, well, it's going to be a bad day for in just not this weekend, but next weekend when we face Alabama. I hope that we beat Alabama, but we always struggle with that team, no matter who's the coach. Uh,
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, DeBoer beats you last year. I mean, on paper, you should be able to handle Alabama, but I mean, every team. That's another thing about college football. Every team has that one team that just has their number. For Georgia, it's been Alabama.
And also, a lot of people don't understand this. They think, this number one team should beat that team. This team should always beat that team, but it's not clear cut. That's why any given Saturday is even a thing. I mean, that's why you can be beaten any given Saturday. You hear that a lot. Also, Kirby Smart talks about, humility is just 1 week away. These are 18 to, well, now almost 30-year-olds, but 18 to 24, 25-year-old and men, playing against each other. Anything can happen, and the football is a funny shape, and if it bounces one way or bounces another way, then who knows who's going to win the game. But like, I was trying to tell my friend that, because he was like, "Yeah, Alabama's definitely going to lose to Georgia," and I'm like, "You don't. I mean, we don't know that." And he was trying to convince me through, well, in this movie, this character always beats that character, and I'm like, it's
It's not a
not like
movie, brother. It's
it,
not a
it's
movie. If
yeah,
that was
it's
the case, we'd all be rich and we'd all pick favorites and win every
r-
week in our
right.
bets.
And that's why I love college football so much, because you don't know. I mean, most people probably would have picked Clemson to beat y'all, and it didn't happen. So, and
Yeah.
so, I wanted to talk a little bit about your wrestling fandom here. like, are you still 100% in it, or
No. I mean, I honestly haven't watched wrestling since WCW went down in like 2000 or something.
oh
It's been a
goodness?
while. Yeah.
I know you put on your channel you was in micro wrestling. You did.
Oh man, yeah. So they have these midget wrestlers that go around, and me and a buddy of mine looked it up, and for like $200, you could be a guest referee in one of these things. And we were like, absolutely, we'll do that. And so I was a guest referee in this micro wrestling thing, and like I'm not a short guy, so like I tower over these guys that are like 3 feet. I mean, anyone would. But I got in and I did like the Scott Hall thing, and they got mad because it almost toppled them, almost toppled them over. And they were not a fan of that. I took my shirt off, I threw it into the crowd, it landed on a lady's face. Her husband was pissed. That almost ended in an altercation. Um, which I feel bad for them, because now you have a guy doing the ref in your match that doesn't really know what's going on. Like, they tell you, okay, they're when this happens, that's the 3 count, but like I screwed it up. Like, I don't know what's going on in there. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. I thought, man, I caught feelings for one of them. I
Oh,
started
good.
following her. Yeah, man, there were some good looking ones in there.
For sure. Because you made that video, there was a micro wrestling event uh, in Augusta, Georgia, not far from where I live, only like 15 minutes away. And I went to it,
Yeah.
and my reasoning to go to it literally was because you went to it. I'm like, you're the reason why I went to it. It wasn't that it was only like $15 or something like that to go.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really fun. And some guy, they did a bid like during the I guess during the halftime, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
they had a bid where you can voluntarily get hit with a trash can,
Oh yeah.
a, a real trash can, and somebody paid $500 to get hit 2 times with a trash can. The first time he barely got hit, and the guy was like, harder, harder. And that mini guy slammed him with that trash can. Bro started bleeding,
They
like
potatoed them.
like real blood. And I think the guy got mad that he was cut open, but like, bro, that's your own fault, bro. You got paid $500 to get beat up for real.
Now he paid $500 to get color in a match, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean it. Somebody, I think it made like social media or something on there, but I'd have to go look for the video. But yeah, man, that was interesting as well.
Yeah, I
I
love
mean,
doing silly, stupid things, man. Like, I'm always down to make a fool of myself. In fact, my daughter, who's 5, I took her and she chopped one of the wrestlers. I have a little video of it, and then I had to explain to her mom, because like my daughter looks back at me like, you've told me not to hit people, and now I'm like, yes, hit that little person. And then, I had to explain that to her mom, but ask for forgiveness later.
for sure. Also, one last thing before we get off here. Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Scott Hall. It's probably Scott Hall. I mean, Razor Ramon was a great gimmick. And then they had some legal issues because, they did the invasion angle with the WWF at the time, invading WCW, which almost buried the WWF. Like, that worked. Like, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were great. Because they were the first guys that made you root for the heel. Like, you were rooting for the heel. I mean, obviously Goldberg was a good gimmick, and then you learn that he ended Bret Hart's career and was super green and maybe was a mark for himself. But yeah, I mean, probably Scott Hall. I thought Scott Hall was great.
Yeah. You are older than me, so I wasn't in that. I wasn't watching wrestling. I wasn't even born
Yeah,
to
that
see
was in
that.
the 90s.
Yeah, so I started watching wrestling and about actually the same time I watched college football. And I remember the first two people that were on my screen was John Cena and Randy Orton whenever they had their feud back in '07 or '08.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, I got to watch more of this. And then I realized that they had, at the time, it was on Thursday night SmackDown. And I looked up, what channel it's going to be on and all that stuff on my mom's computer. And I started watching SmackDown, and the first guy that I see is Jeff Hardy, which is by far
Great.
my favorite wrestler of all time. It's not even close.
I think he's from North Carolina, right?
Yeah, he's from North Carolina. I got to meet him not once but twice. They say never meet your heroes, but Jeff Hardy is one of those that you can meet. Like, he is super nice. He is definitely my favorite of all time. I think the greatest of all time, in my opinion, Shawn Michaels, and I don't even think
Oh
it's
yeah.
really I don't even think it's really close. I know people want to talk championships, but I'm talking from an in-ring perspective. I'm talking about from just entertainment perspective, the whole 9 yards. He even has a few championships under his belt as well. He's a Grand Slam champion as well. So I think dude is like the perfect. Like, if I had to make a perfect wrestler on a video game or something, I might as well just play with Shawn Michaels. Like, the
Yeah,
dude.
well, championships don't matter, honestly. It's who's the biggest draw. So, like, you can put Shawn Michaels in that. Ric Flair, big draw. Taker. Taker might have had the best gimmick. I mean, that gimmick was great. And honestly, I might change my pick from Scott Hall to Kane. I was super interested in the Kane gimmick, and now I forget that guy's name. He's like mayor of
Glenn Jacobs.
yeah, Glenn Jacobs, great dude, stupid strong. Like the whole Kane gimmick was great. Rock, like all those guys drew. I mean, that's the important thing with wrestling. I mean, obviously, I grew up watching WCW. I did watch some, WWF as I got older. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, like with Flair, people still quote Ric Flair promos. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it definitely is who's the biggest draw and all that stuff. Especially, Hulk Hogan. Bro couldn't wrestle. I mean, he had a leg drop. He
He
pointed
could
the finger.
wrestle. It's just we learned that he was a piece of shit as we got older and we grew up and became adults. And he was the lies of Hulk Hogan are something to be studied. This guy said that he wrestled more than 365 days a year because of the time difference between him going from the United States and Japan, not thinking that once you fly back, you lose whatever time you gained. Did you hear about him lying to Taker? Like he didn't want to take Taker's finish, the
Oh
tombstone.
yeah, and then he said, "Oh, I got hurt."
Yeah, neck
Yeah,
never touched. And Taker's like, okay, I see how you are.
that's
But
not gonna. That's why there's the big meme. That's not gonna work for me, brother.
not going to work for me, brother. Yeah, bash at the beach. Another one, Vince Russo cutting the who knows whether it was a shoot promo or not. And that son of a bitch, Hulk Hogan, you'll never see him again, brother.
Yeah, and
In
then
fact, I based so that like the one of the only bits on my channel that have worked to bring this full circle is my hatred of Jeff Collins, which has some real life elements to it. Like I never talked about him on Twitter. I did all this stuff on YouTube about him. He blocks me on Twitter after I challenged him to a cage match, and I really tried. The only thing I can compare that hatred to, if now you're a younger guy, you might not be familiar with this, is Jim Cornette's hatred of Vince Russo. And Jim Cornette wrote in his book, I want to get healthy. I want to get in shape so that I can outlive Vince Russo and piss on his grave. And that's how I feel about Jeff Collins. Now, he's older than me, so that wouldn't be too hard, but I got to lose some weight.
For sure. I guess we'll end it on that note. But any last words, or you got tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me here on YouTube, Rec Talk. You search Rec Talk, you'll find me here on YouTube. I'm Rec_Talk on Twitter because some porn bot hacked my account and I couldn't get that sorted out. I also have an alternate channel, Rec Streams, that I sometimes do things on that are a little more blue. And yeah, that's where you can find me. We live stream games. We put out, I put out content all the time about various different teams and a lot of trash talk and wrestling type things, I guess, as they pertain to college football.
For sure. Well, if you like this content, please smash the thumbs up. And if you really like this content, hit the subscribe button.